you see it all the time that they're like, you didn't credit the artist, you're literally taking money out of their pocket.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe not literally.
But people make that argument.
People do make that argument. If I've learned anything on this show, Lou, it's that some people are dumb.
I guess that is kind of the underlying theme.
Yeah, just came out of my mouth, but now that I think about it, that's what we should have called the show, really.
Well, maybe a rebrand is inevitable. Well, here we are.
We made it.
I know, it's been a little while.
Was it something I said?
No, we're not fighting.
Are you sure? This would be a weird place to find that out.
It would be. No, we're in fact here doing the thing, the whole podcast thing.
Doing the thing. We had a little hiatus.
A little bit. But
It wasn't really anybody's fault.
Not at all.
It was Lou's fault.
I take full responsibility. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the thing.
I issue you full responsibility.
I mean, not to get too serious, but let's be honest. Like, everything that happens to you may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility.
That's probably fair.
Yeah. So in this particular case, I accept full responsibility.
Okay. All right. You kind of lawyered me right then.
Yeah.
That was what that was.
Yeah. Well, let's not get too serious. Let's instead introduce the show.
Yeah.
Welcome to the hotlou Show. I am your host, Lou Abramowski, or somewhat fanatically known as hotlou.
And it is not my birthday.
Well, I think that might tail into another episode that we're going to do.
It is often your birthday.
It is. It's my birthday upwards of 100 times a year.
Yeah. As
we've learned. So instead, I've got something that I want to talk about, and I think listeners of the show that are familiar with me in real life have heard me talk about this endlessly because it's something that I found about 10 years ago that in some small way actually legitimately changed my life. Other listeners of the show and people that know me in real life are very familiar with the fact that I dated a children's entertainer.
Yes.
For a little while.
It may have come up a time or two.
Early on, I mean, I say this in the fondest way possible. Uh-huh. You know, when she and I first met, she was effectively a homeless person.
Yeah. No, and it was weird seeing you around with a giant yellow bird. I mean, that was strange. I mean, I'm not a judgy person, but it took some getting used to, got to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the familiarity definitely brought us into a comfort zone. Early on, there was some craziness that kind of happened in the relationship, but I think the craziest thing, yeah,
was that a thing? I don't remember any of that.
Early on, I said something one time to her that I said, you know, the fairy thing is cute, but you know, you're gonna have to get a real job someday.
Yeah, that on almost every application of that sentence, that is a reasonable thing to say. Almost every application.
Well, you know, upon reflection, I'm a little surprised that I didn't get stabbed. And I think, you know, if fairies were wont to stab people, I probably would have been stabbed at that moment.
It depends on the fairy, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it really depends on the fairy lore that you're interested in, because there's some mean fairies out there.
Oh, yeah. Grimm. Wrote a whole book about it.
In any case, as I was thinking about that, one of the things I didn't really realize is just how popular she was and how really gifted of an entertainer she was, and the rapport that she had with her fans and her audiences. And I happened to stumble upon, just out of the blue, and I wish I could remember where I even found this, but now it makes the rounds constantly, especially among, you know, the podcasts that I listen to are like the Tim Ferriss Show and Noah Kagan's show, similar podcasts like that. And this comes up like all of the time. But the essay is an essay written by the founder of Wired magazine, Kevin Kelly. And the title of the essay is 1,000 True Fans. I'm just going to summarize it a little bit, but I'm going to leave it obviously in the show notes. And I'm going to recommend everybody read it, because we're not talking about a book here. We're talking about something that's going to take you about 5 or 10 minutes to read. And if you're a creator of any kind, it could change your life as well.
Sure.
But the summary is that by starting, you define a true fan as somebody who will buy anything and everything that you create. Okay. So it's not somebody that you just would consider like a super fan.
Right.
Literally just define a true fan as somebody who is so in love with your craft that they're going to buy anything and everything that you create. Now, if you've got 1,000 of them and you're able to produce $100 worth of product every year, do a little bit of math.
Yeah. You're starting to make a nice living.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been in school, but I think 1,000 times 100 is 100,000.
Yeah, you're just making up words now.
And I think most creators and artists kind of have this badge of honor of like this, I'm a starving artist and I can't make it unless I get famous.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of spend their entire life pursuing fame. And that short of fame, there's a resentment towards selling out or making it big or even wanting to, charge a lot for the products that they make. And in a sense, or not even in a sense, very literally, I see this all the time where creators just panic and freak out when people are like sharing their content for free in online forums or, bootlegging let's say they're a musician.
Sure.
Their music gets bootlegged one way or another and they just freak out and they're like, you're stealing money out of the pockets of an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I read this, I was like, wow, this actually makes a ton of sense. And it seems so reachable for anybody.
Sure. Produce $100 worth of goods and well, first cultivate the audience, but then figure out $100 worth of goods to sell.
And in a sense, like until you've got the 1,000 true fans, at no point should you ever resent anybody sharing anything anywhere.
Yeah, because you don't know one of the people that is seeing it upon sharing might be one of your 1,000 true fans.
Yeah, and we can certainly get into this maybe in a little bit here, but I had this argument so many times, especially with Renaissance Festival performers that were freaking out about their music being shared on, online sites and things like that, where, the argument I was trying to make with them at the time was, no, you should make sure that people can listen to your music for free as often as possible.
Now, as your lawyer, I would simultaneously recommend that you copyright and or trademark property you wish to protect. That doesn't mean you have to sell it. It just means you want to protect your authorship of those things.
Thank you.
I'll be available after the show for a reasonable fee.
Yeah, that'll be in the show notes as well. If you're an artist of any kind, you're a creator of any kind, and this has been proven kind of over and over. Spotify kind of changed the game on this. You have people on Spotify that, once upon a time were making their music, available only on iTunes, via some sort of fee. But on the other hand, there were people on Spotify literally just trying to game the system to get more and more people to listen for free, and not in a way to try to even make any money. But the idea was literally just...
Didn't MySpace more or less start out with this as a kind of principle?
There were a ton of artists that started on MySpace. Yeah,
that's when I stopped paying attention to social media.
In 2003?
Yeah, Tom still hangs out with me.
Yeah, Tom's our next guest.
Yeah,
on the next show.
I mean, he's available.
Yeah, I have to hand it to him. I think, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong here, but I think Tom sold MySpace for like $100 million.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
And like 9 years later, I think it was like Microsoft sold it for like
12 cents.
It was like $2 million or something like that. Yeah. So man, he really got out at the perfect time, and he did a really good job. And he probably could have written the 1,000 True Fans principle long before Kevin Kelly ever did. But the principle here, I think, still stands, that the idea is that instead of getting upset that maybe you've got, maybe there's a photo of some sort of art print that you did that gets shared on some Facebook page, or you're a photographer and you took a photo of some awesome, bridge scene in downtown Minneapolis. That gets shared, and people love freaking. You see it all the time that they're like, you didn't credit the artist, you're literally taking money out of their pocket.
Yeah, well, maybe not literally,
But people make that argument.
People do make that argument.
And
If I've learned anything on this show, Lou, it's that some people are dumb.
I guess that is kind of the underlying theme on every episode.
I hadn't really put it. That just came out of my mouth. But now that I think about it, that's what we should have called the show, really.
Well, maybe a rebrand is inevitable.
Hey, Lou.
Mike?
You know, I'm doing these dad jokes.
Almost every day for over a year.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it has been every day. And it got me to thinking, Lou.
What did it get you thinking, Mike?
What if I started a Facebook page where I did a dad joke every day and it wouldn't be limited to just my Facebook friends?
But wouldn't that be a ton of work to try to have to publish that every single day, Mike?
Not if you did it all at once, Lou, and created the content using Evergreen.
That's brilliant.
You know what? That's exactly what I did. And you, the listener, can enjoy Dad Jokes every day by going to facebook.com and searching Dad Joke Daily, or by going to @DadJokesEveryday. Dad Joke every day. One joke. One joke.
And we'll have a link at hotlou.com/dadjokedaily.
What if I want more than one dad joke every day?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I think one dad joke a day should probably be everybody's upper limit.
So go to @DadJokeEveryday, and you too can enjoy the hilarity that animates my life and kept me out of the really good schools.
Look, I want to also add to that, we came across this happening all of the time, and sometimes our fans at the time would make that same argument. They're like, you just shared a photo of Twig and you didn't give her credit. You're literally taking money out of her pocket. And we'd often step in and say, no, we really appreciate you sharing this, because our stated mission, and maybe I've said this before, but our stated mission was literally to spread fairy magic as far and wide as possible. And if we got credit, great. If we didn't, our hope was that the mission was still being served. And if it was like, it really took, and this never happened, it really took somebody doing something really bad in order for us to lay our foot down. Like, literally, they had to be selling art that we had created. And in those particular cases, well, not in the cases where people were selling our artwork, but in the cases where people were sharing that stuff, we almost went the opposite. We'd say, thank you so much for sharing this. Could you please credit us? And, if they did, we'd often send them free stuff.
That And in this way, Lou, you're like the anti-Metallica.
Yeah, exactly. And anti-Pearl Jam, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that whole notion of like fighting the internet, we tried to embrace it as much as possible. And it was all in the interest of trying to convert that person that may have been attacked either by, some neutral third party or a fan of ours into a true fan, because it wasn't uncommon for us to send them a book for free and them to turn around and, donate $100 to the next Kickstarter campaign.
Sure.
That was not uncommon. So we got to turn that person into a true fan. And I'll tell you that in the last Kickstarter campaign that or I shouldn't say the last one we did together was, I think, 2012. We had somebody literally contribute $1,500 to the Kickstarter campaign only for the rights to name a character in the book.
Oh my gosh.
So think about that, right?
Yeah.
So
with that math, Lou, you need fewer than 100 fans.
Exactly, right? So do the conversion, right? After the fairy conversion, we only need 100 true fans, or 75 true fans or something like that. But at the end of the day, that mission of getting 1,000 true fans really succeeded after about a year and a half of us doing that. And that's when we launched the first book campaign and were able to do that. Well, fast forward 3 or 4 years, now we've got people literally donating $1,500 for the naming rights of a character in a book.
Do you recall what the character wound up being named?
I don't remember what it ended up being named, but I do know
I think it'd be cool if the character's name wound up being like Greg.
And it was a unicorn.
Oh,
so Greg the unicorn.
Okay, nobody steal this art. All right, Lounatics.
Have you not been listening to the show, Mike?
Well, I have, but I haven't patented Greg the Unicorn yet.
Okay.
I gotta go patent. I'm gonna run to the patent office.
Well, it's not like we're doing the show live. I mean, we're recording it live.
Right.
We're not publishing it
We've
live.
trod this ground. Okay.
We have.
All right.
Okay.
Go to gregtheunicorn.com.
We don't even need a .com. We have the technology to create a Facebook page.
Yes. Oh, that's true. That's true.
So, with that, maybe we've got a Greg the Unicorn page happening in your very near future.
This is how art happens, huh?
This is
It
it.
just happened just then.
Yeah. And you all bore witness to it.
Whew.
So with that, check out the show notes. Really think about that if you're a creator. And this goes also, by the way, not just for art. It really goes for business. Right? Like, I mean, I'll be frank. Like, I don't have 1,000 customers for Evergreen, but my march is towards 1,000 for that reason. And specifically, once I hit that number, it really means something. Not only is it a great milestone, but the math adds up for exactly what I'm trying to build the business towards.
Yeah. It is an optimistic message. I mean, I'm just thinking about my business right now. Now, I can't fathom we will ever have 1,000 customers, but as far as like some of the work we do for our clients, if we had 1,000 fans of a given client, they could make a lot of noise. If we can help them to find, identify, and motivate those 1,000 fans. Exactly. I've done my job, and I don't need 1,000. We'll take 1,000 clients. We'd have to add a person. Yeah. Check out WeberJohnsonPA.com. Yeah. Proud sponsor of the show. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Check out the show notes. Think about how this might apply to your business at any given time, or the art that you're creating. If you've got a story associated with this, I'd love to hear it, because I've been giving this advice now for 10 years, and I've got a handful of success stories that go along with it. So, unless it involves Greg the Unicorn, at which point you shall be seeing my lawyer. And the cease and desist is en route to your inbox. Again, thanks for listening. I am your host, hotlou. I am Greg the Unicorn author, Mike Franklin. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.